Good day, my dear expats, and welcome to this video. So, as you previously were reviewing in the X courses, one of the best ways to save taxes is, and now coming to this Corona situation, but also previously, the home office. Of course, if you are working from your home, and you have a working room, or if also you didn't have any working room, but you were working mainly in your living room from the home office due to the Corona situation in the 2020, 2021, and 2022 will count as well, then there were some tax benefits to get advantage of. And of course, I'm not talking to you, my dear doctors, medics, but yes, to you guys who are engineers, who are software developers, who are into IT, as well as all of the managers who are mainly doing home office. So what is this form of tax benefits? It's called either the home office flat rate or also the Arbeitszimmer. And we're going to focus on that one for in this video. So for this one, let's take a look to refresh your memory, to follow back up to the theory, in which it says that the Arbeitszimmer, it's a concept itself. As you see, it's your office from home, which will be able to save you taxes under certain conditions. So what are these conditions? Is that your room has to be separated from all of the other rooms in your house, that you have to be possessing or enough space for your family, for yourself and your family as well. And that this room has to provide you all of the proper resources in order to develop yourself in your professional activity. And there are two ways in which it will count such a room. Either in the full of all of the expenses or partly up to a limit of 1,250 euros. Let's take a look at these two requirements. So when will it count fully? If your working room in your house is so-called the middle point of all of your professional activities. If it's outside of your house, then you can deduct it anyway. If you are, for example, doing a shared office, like we work and all else. But if not, if it's in your house, then this has to be really the middle point of your whole day-to-day office performances. So in this case, what can you deduct from this is, you see here, together with your side cost, with the rent, with all of the proper materials in filling your working room, as you see here. So PC, drucker, printer, furniture, also the rent. So summing up all of this cost would be now your task. And what happens if your working room is not the middle point for all of your professional activities? Then you can deduct it up to 1,250 under the condition, the requirement that you possess or you dispose of no other working room in your office at that point. There was, though, an update for 2021 where if you work mostly from home office, then you can also do this full expense deduction. Normally, it wouldn't work otherwise, only for this last taxing year. Now, something to take account to is that the Finanzamt tax office will look upon certain pieces of data in order to determine that this is actually a working room. So for once, it's important to know if it's your profession. Then if you're, for example, a self-employed artist or you are a journalist, then normally you won't have any problem at deducting the full expenses of your working room, because normally this is thought that you would actually perform in the center middle point your activities at home as well. Also, if you are an IT developer, if you're a software engineer, it could be also so the case if, especially in your contract, it is so that you are working remotely completely from home and there is no place in your work because your workplace is somewhere else and you have to be disposing of a fully active working room in your house, then of course it's also deductible. If it's not such any case, then you have at least this threshold of 1,250 for your working room. And now let's look upon at the request for this deductible. So it's here, it says here, this expat in his filing, he wrote the following: the working room for a home office due to pandemic in my position as a manager, 90% in home office, what he is deducting is the partial rent for his room inside of his full apartment. This is a good amount because, as you see, it's only 10% of the full area where his family is living. And he's indeed using the threshold of 1,250, which is easier to be accepted. And so close to an update. In here, you will see the information up to date, how you can deduct this from the taxes. So was sind die Kosten für das Arbeitszimmer absetzbar? Exactly as I explained it to you right now, you can also read this article to be completely up to date. Now, what exactly is the Finanzamt coming back to you? They send you a letter. And in this letter, this request for deduction would be put to a test. Inside of this, it says, income tax return for 2021, dear Mr. and Mrs. In the income tax declaration, in Einzelfällen wird jedoch die Angaben sowie die Vorlage vom Belegen erforderlich. Sachverhaltserklärung. And inside of this, it says, Fragebogen Arbeitszimmer. So a special explanation or form for the working room. And right now, we're going to go straight to it. So how does this form looks like and how do you fill it? Let's find it out. In here, it says simply place where you're living, then the date, then your phone number, and then your signature. Signature, of course, if you are in a joint tax filing, it should be from you and also from your spouse. In here, it says the tax ID of yourself and also of your partner for Mr. and Mrs. And now, important here would be to explain your professional activity. So, my dears, let's go straight up to the form and find out how you come back to it. So, here, it will be requested in this explanatory form, and of course, the place where you are filing the taxes, the tax office in here. If you're living, of course, in Stuttgart, then you can write here, this expat is living in Stuttgart, then the proper date, you can copy it and paste it, and put this as an example, like 1/1/2021. Two. Watch more video would be something like it. And what else are we seeing here? Got your phone number, 000, and signed in here by you and your spouse because you are both jointly filing taxes. In here, now we come to the centerpiece. Would be important for the Finanzamt to know what are you working in, what is exactly your profession in order to find out if it's completely necessary that you use this working room. So if here we are talking about a software engineer. That will be a great option where you can see that the full expenses for this working room will be taken into account. Now, let's go to the following one and place a further check over here. So, bildet das häusliche Arbeitszimmer den Mittelpunkt der gesamten betrieblichen und beruflichen Tätigkeit, keine anderweitige dauerhafte Tätigkeit an verschiedenen Orten. So in this case, if we are talking about an employee, an expat, who is working as a software engineer, and in his contract it says that he has to work remotely fully, then of course it is the middle point of his professional activity. Something else is in here being explained. Steht für die betriebliche oder berufliche Tätigkeit neben dem Arbeitszimmer ein anderer Platz zur Verfügung? Again, it will be no, the response. But then in the case that your working room is not the middle point of your professional activity and you have to do home office because of Corona, then it will be simply a letter or a general communication from your employer where they say that you have to work by home office mandatorily. That would be a proper explanation in this second as a proof for this saying. So, what else? Das Arbeitszimmer nutze ich zu folgende betriebliche und berufliche Tätigkeiten. How can you fill this in? Let's give it a go. So in here, they are requesting you to explain what are you using this workroom for. So in here, if it's a software engineer, of course, we can say programming. So what else? Need. You see what I'm doing? I am providing such an explanation where it is easy to understand that you could only have done this work from your home, because if you're communicating with global teams, then it has to be done from your home. You cannot be flying every time. And programmation, of course, it's done on it as well. Emails. Yeah, in that case, that would be sufficient. Now, das Arbeitszimmer befindet sich in einer. Most of the people in Germany are living in rented apartments, right? So let's make it also that way. This expat does not possess this apartment, so he's renting it out. Mietwohnung. So the whole area, the pool apartment. In here, we can simply go about, in an example, writing, let's say that it is 100 square meters for the whole family, where maybe also 4 people are living, at best 3, to make it so that they all have enough space. Now, how big is the apartment itself? This would be in here. So, area of the full apartment. I gave it in here. Now, area of the full working room, 15 square meters, so 15% of the apartment. Now, what else? They want to find out if you have enough space for your all daily matters for your family as well. So here it says, Anzahl der Wohnungen gehörende Räume ohne Küche, Bad und Abstellraum, meaning the rooms itself. So in here, if you are living together with your wife and your child, you as well, then would be so that you could have, for example, 3 rooms to 4 rooms. If it's 100 square meters, let's say 4 rooms. So in here, we are saying your working room together with the room for your spouse and yourself, the kids' room as well. And finally, the living room. Now, if it's you, your spouse, and your child, you can write here 3 people living in this household. What else? Number of people using the working room. So if it's only the father working, then he can only deduct it for his salary. But if both the wife and the husband are earning salary and using the home office, the working room, then the 2 of them can also deduct it from the taxes individually, by the way. So number of people using the working room, we can say also 2, since they are both working. And yeah, some time about some explanations about the numbers you see here, the pointers, the footnotes. Now, for this example, let's say that this person is spending 1,000 euros for this rent. So, 1,000 can go. So if it's a big city in Germany, it's probably also more. So let's go with. Let's go with 1,500 for the full apartment. So number quite in the realistic values. Let me put this over here. So if it's 1,500, how much do we have in 12 months? I would say it's 18,000 euros, according to my mental maths. So 18,000 euros, the full warm rent for the whole apartment. Now, if it's not including the side cost, so if it would be only the cold rent, and you would have to pay also in advance the electricity and all else. Could be also so. Let's put it that you are paying for the heating, the electricity and all else, also 2,000 euros. So the full rent will come to 20,000 euros this year. How do we then proceed with this calculation? 20,000 euros in total, simple maths. How much of this concerns to the working room? That's the key. We were saying before that if it's 100 square meters and the working room is 15 square meters in total, then it's about 15% of this. So if we are talking about 20,000 euros in a year for the full expenses of the whole apartment, then of course this would be that it is 3,000 euros for the working room. Now, the ideal case, of course, would be that the family was living in here for the full year in order to make it a complete tax deduction. So then, in this ideal case, we would write here from the 1st of January. So in this ideal case, we would write here from the 1st of January up to the 31st of December. That would be all in total some 12 months. So here we are going to write then 12 months. So we think this would be the yearly values, and they are requesting here for something more like monthly. So here we're going to write here a correction of this. 2,000 month would come to then 366. It's in total 1,000 divided by 12. It's 166. So it's 166,67. Then we would come to 166,67, which would be the same for the yearly amount. And how much is it for the working room? Part of this, 167 multiplied by 50%, 250 completely makes sense because it's 3,000 for the full year in total. So if we're going to break it down like this, then here we would be able to deduct the full expense of the 3,000 euros for this working room. 3,000 euros there. What is this part number C explaining us about? In this chapter, we are saying Aufwendungen bei einer Wohnung im eigenen Haus, Eigentumswohnung. Not concerning you. If you are renting this apartment, then it's nothing to fill in. And then, therefore, we skip directly to this part D. Aufwendungen für die Ausstattung des Arbeitszimmers ohne typische Arbeitsmittel. So, not talking about the working materials, which we already saw in the previous courses, but here you can also deduct, for example, for the fully furniture of this working room, if you paid it in that year, as well as if you paid it in the previous year and it was a big enough of an item which cost more than 800 euros net or 952 euros in gross, then you can put the deductions year by year, or the so-called depreciations for the different tables where you see the materials and then the time bound to be used, the using term of years. But if none of them are provided on this year, you can skip this part and then you can be writing so that the sum of B or C plus the sum of D would come all together to 3,000 euros. We're making an easy example, but if you are not spending any more for working materials on that year, then that will be only the room cost, the full cost of the room alone, not including any objects within it. So 3,000 euros, we found out previously, and now 3,000 euros in here as well. If you had some working materials within this working room, You can put it also in here, or you can also put it in the working material section, the tax declaration. No need to submit it here as well. That way it's also maybe easier. And with this form will be done to its completion. And with a final signature, you would be able to prove your working room and therefore answer this letter with the explanatory form from the working room used for professional reasons. And in that way, we see here the results of this expat submitting his working room at last over here in the confirmation of the finance and the income tax return notice, or the so-called Einkommensteuerbescheid. Here you can see the expenses for his working room were accepted in full, 1,250 for him alone, indeed, since he was the only one with a salary, not his wife. And that, my dear experts, would be concluding on how do you follow up on the request for information and therefore recognize your working room used solely for professional reasons at your home, therefore maximizing your income tax return.